Hello and welcome back to this session. In the earlier session, we had discussed about the general information about the project work of MCA. In this session, let us discuss about the matters related to the project proposals, project report and the viva voce. So to start with, how the project proposal should be submitted. What are the necessary documents that you have to submit along with the project proposal pro forma? So, in the first page, in the booklet that you will be about to receive, MCSP 060 project guidelines, along with that you will be receiving one pro forma also printed in the booklet. So, that particular pro forma needs to be completed, signed by the student as well as by the guide, along with the signature and the date. So, this is the first thing that you have to take care. So, you have to fulfill, we have to fill the whole pro forma which I am showing you. So this is the format of the pro forma in the guidelines. So this is the format of the pro forma, along with in the booklet it will be you will be receiving. So in this you have to sign along with, you have to put the date. Also the guide also should sign. And other than this particular thing, you have to collect the biodata of the project guide also. So whenever you are collecting the biodata of the project guide, like the resume kind of thing, it should be signed by the guide. And along with the pro forma that you are attaching, you should attach this biodata also. And then you have to keep one self-addressed envelope with duly affixed postage. And then the synopsis of project proposal may be about 12 to 15 pages, covering the aspects that I am showing it to you. First thing is the title of the project, introduction and objectives of the project, project category, whether it is a RDBMS project, OOPS project, networking, internet technologies, artificial intelligence, expert systems, simulation systems, etc. And then you have to mention the tools that you are using, platform, hardware and software requirement specifications, problem definition, it should be well defined, like these are the things that I am about to achieve. Then requirement specification, project planning and scheduling, which is must. And then you have to add the things like the analysis documents, like the DFDs, data flow diagrams. Wherever the case permits, you have to put the ER diagrams. For the RDBMS projects, obviously you will be putting the ER diagrams. And for the OOPS technologies, you have to place the class diagrams, object diagrams, etc. So these diagrams, whatever you are placing, should be as per the project requirements. Suppose if you are carrying out the OOPS project, category under OOPS, and if you are placing the ER diagrams, which is meaningless. So you have to select the analysis part also and the diagrams also such a way that it suits your software requirements or a language that you are handling. Then complete structure, which includes the number of modules, the description to provide an estimation of the student's effort on the project, the data structures as per the project requirements, process logic of each module. Whatever the modules that you are selecting, you have to place the process logic of each and every module. And then the list of reports. You may not be keeping the exact format of the report, but you have to keep the list of the reports that it is likely to generate. Implementation of security mechanisms at various levels, future scope and further enhancements. And then you have to place the bibliography, like the reference books that you are about to use. So these are the basic things that you have to submit along with your project proposal. So the project proposal should contain one approval pro forma, a prescribed format that is given in the guidelines. You may use the Xerox copy also, don't tear and use the original copy. You can use the Xerox copy of the approval. And then it should be signed by the guide as well as by the student. It should be complete in all aspects. You have to write all the relevant information related to the columns that are given on the format. Along with that, you have to collect the biodata, signed biodata of the guide, and then you have to attach one envelope, self-addressed envelope, duly affixed postage with duly affixed postage. Then it should contain the proposal part also, synopsis part also. Synopsis consists of the things that I had mentioned, like the title of the project, the requirement specifications, tools that you are using, the software that you are using, the tools that you are using, the packages that you are using, the utilities that you are using. So all these things that you should mention in detail. Then the category you should obviously mentioning. And as per the category, you have to place the relevant documents, analysis documents also. Like you are, for all the cases, you have to mention the DFDs. You have to start with context level DFD. Start with 0 level DFD. Start with 0 level. Then you go on, proceed on till the further levels for the project. So you should obviously put the 0 level DFD. Then you have to go for first level, second level to the required levels for the project. And you may, suppose for the RDBMS projects, you have to keep the ER diagrams also. For the OOPS category, you have to place the class diagrams, object diagrams, etc. So as per the requirements, you have to place the relevant analysis documents. And you have to give a complete structure. So these are the number of modules that I am taking over. And each module in description you have to place the data structures, and then the process logic of each module you have to mention. So whenever I am talking about the data structure, suppose if you are using the C programming language to develop some system software, so you have to mention all the data structures that you are using in your project as per the modules. Suppose if you are using some RDBMS package, like you are using Oracle as backend, then you have to obviously place the details of the data structures. Like for this particular thing, I am selecting the data type, this data type. So as per that, you have to mention. Then you have to mention the key constraints also. Suppose if you are selecting the table, you have to mention obviously the key constraints. So which is the primary key, which is the foreign key, which is the candidate key. This particular information you have to furnish in the table design itself. Then you have to give the process logic. Process logic in the sense, no need of writing the program. You can place the algorithmic mode, or else you can even write in a simple English. This is the module and the description is this much. So I am covering these particular details in this module. That is the we are expecting. At this particular project proposal submission, this is nothing but you are submitting the problem to the university to undergo for the evaluation. What our expectations is nothing but we have to understand the problem first of all. What is the problem that you are selecting, and what are the things that you are about to do? What are the modules under the topic? What are the modules you are about to do? And how much efforts are going into in each module, as well as combinedly whether it is taking some 6 months efforts of the students or not. That is our basic idea creation. So for that particular creating the basic idea in the mind of the evaluator, you are sending the proposal. We are not saying that it should be restricted to 12 to 15, or it may be only between 12 to 15. In some cases it may be ending within 10 pages. In some cases it may be taking more than 15 pages also. We had given a certain idea that it may be ending up with 15 pages. So there is no hard and fast rule that the synopsis should contain 15 pages. This is to just give you a little bit of idea. So in that way you proceed and you give the information to create a kind of impact in the evaluator's mind. That is our basic motto. Otherwise, you should not explain the whole thing, which you will be totally documenting in the project report. That is not the thing that we are expecting in the proposal kind of thing. In your proposal, you have to keep it in very short. You have to try to explain the whole thing, like creating the idea, telling about the module details. So that is the basic thing that in case of reports, don't place any screen layouts. Just give a brief outline, either with a scale and pencil also will do. Report generation you are not going to do at the proposal stage. You are just mentioning us that these will be the reports that will be generated by the project. So you are in the proposing state. That's why you should not keep any screen layouts, screen dumps in the project synopsis. Most of the people, what they will be doing is, they will be doing certain rough layouts and they will be placing, which we are no more interested, because we will be having certain idea by looking into the modules itself, the details of the modules itself. Why you are unnecessarily taking the screenshots and placing it? It will be increasing your page size also. Implementation of security mechanism at various levels, that you have to specifically mention that these particular privileges will be provided to this category of users. So those particular things and this particular security level will be allowed to have such screens or such options. So these particular things you have to give. Implementation of security mechanisms at various levels. Then comes the future scope. Take some problem, do the analysis, do the design part, give the proposal, but don't leave major part to the future scope. Future scope, why we are specifying it is, after going through the project report by any other student, he may be taking the future scope as one project problem also, and he can enhance the project. So that is the basic idea wherein which you have to give the project scope. So students, what they'll take is, they'll do the some part of the problem and most of the part they'll leave to the future scope. That is not the thing that you have to do. Future scope is something different, wherein which you have fulfilled to certain extent, and this particular project can be enhanced or can be integrated with other modules, or can be made online based if it is a standalone system, or can be done something to this project, it will be a full project. So these kinds of ideas you should keep it in the future project and further enhancement. And then you have to give the details of the bibliography. Suppose if you are following certain books, like the course material of IGNO you are following, like 23 you are following, like 43, MCS 43 you are following, data structure books you are following, these can be listed. Other than these, you can always place the reference books that in Oracle I had followed certain book. So these are a kind of acknowledgement that you are giving whenever you are whenever you are carrying out this project work. So this needs to be furnished in the project proposal itself. And the other thing is, whenever you are selecting some project, at this stage of project proposal submission, so you had done something, like you had completed the analysis phase, you had completed basically the basic stages of the design also. So user interface you are about to visualize the user interface also. These particular screens will be there, so these will be the restricted accesses, and you are visualizing the security part also. So what I am about to tell you is that you had, whenever you are preparing the synopsis, you are almost completing 2.5 or 3 stages itself. So this is the thing that you have to keep in mind. Suppose if the evaluator is asking you, whenever he is giving you an approval subject to the condition that you have to include this module and this module also, like the tracking module and the health module also with your project. So what you should do is, you have to keep the thing, whatever that you had already produced, into mind, and then you have to enhance the project logically related. It should not be some isolated components you are attaching. So logically you have to relate the modules suggested by the project proposal evaluator into your project. And you have to build up the processes diagrams like the DFDs also in such a way which will be covering the modules specified by the project proposal evaluator. So these are the things that you will be doing it after the receiving of the approval. And we are not limiting you that whatever you had proposed should be within that particular range. Suppose whenever we are into the project kind, like after receiving the synopsis approval, we'll be working on the project, we'll be doing some sort of coding. At that time, we'll be generating certain ideas. whatever I had mentioned in that particular module may not become a module there. It may be becoming some sort of sub-module to the main module. So you can do certain level enhancements or else modifications at your level. Like you should not disturb the total path or total flow, but you can do in such a way that it should accommodate all the things that you had proposed. So this particular relaxation that we are providing it to you, because you had mentioned that in the proposal state, but after coming on to the actual work, you are visualizing that this should not be an isolated module or this should not be integrated with that particular thing. You'll be taking it as another component. So that particular corrections, modifications, enhancements, always you can do. But whatever you had proposal, those particular aspects, the totality, that you should acquire. Then comes where to submit this particular proposal. So this particular project proposal with the necessary documents, you have to send it to the regional director of the regional center concerned. While posting your proposal to the regional center, on the top of the envelope, you have to mention MCA project proposal MCSP 060. Why I am suggesting you this particular thing is, this will create a kind of convenience to the persons who are working at the regional centers. After looking into this particular title on the envelope, posted envelope, they obviously putting it in the MCA slot. Like this is just to provide the convenience at the regional center. Under no circumstances they should be submitted at the headquarters, that is at the New Delhi. So this particular thing you have to keep in mind. All the communications, all the project proposals needs to be sent to the regional director of the regional center concerned only. So there are certain points to be remembered while preparing the project proposal. One thing is, incomplete approval pro forma in any aspect will be summarily rejected. Whatever that the pro forma that I had already told you, all the columns need to be filled along with the guide signature and the date, and then the student signature and the date on the pro forma. A photocopy of the complete project proposals need to be retained by the student. Whatever the original version that you are submitting to the university or as the regional center, you have to keep the complete photocopy of the thing that you are submitting for your future reference. And then the selection of the guide, please make ensure that at any point of time a guide should not provide guidance for more than 5 MCA students of IGNOU. This is the basic criteria that I had already told you when I am discussing the eligibility criteria for the guide. Then comes the project trainee letter. Whenever you are trying for the opportunity to work with a software industry or software company, they require certain documents from the university part 2, like a kind of ID card from the student and a letter of recommendation from the university. So the format is already provided in the booklet that we are about to send to you. In that you have to just fill your enrollment number, name, and then you have to put the date, and that particular letter you carry on to the assistant regional director or regional director at your regional center concerned. They will attest it after checking the relevant documents like the enrollment status, etc. So this particular project trainee letter will help you along with the resume of yours, will help you to get a very good opportunity working with the software company as a project trainee. So this particular letter you can sign it by either assistant regional director or regional director of your regional center concerned. So in that we had recommended the student that this student has possessed the knowledge in these areas. He had studied this particular curriculum in his career and he is about to execute some project. So we are recommending the student to accommodate in your organization as a project trainee to fulfill the partial fulfillment of the MCA project work. So these particular recommendations we are giving from our side. So you carry on that letter, attested letter, and then along with your resume, apply to the software company, and then you will get a very good opportunity to work in a live environment. And the other thing I want to say you is, most of the Indian government organization or else the organizations under government, they will also offer you certain training mechanisms in MCA, MTech, BE, BTech, computer science also. You have to explore those opportunities also. This particular project trainees are not only restricted to the software companies or else for private software companies only. They are expanded to the government also, like the NIC, Indian Airlines, and then IOCL, BHEL. So these particular Navaratna companies and the public government undertaking companies are also giving the students a good opportunity by providing the training in their environment by taking some sort of entrance test. For that you have to apply along with your resume and the recommendation letter. You have to explore those ideas also, or those opportunities also, as per the state that you are staying, or as per the state, town and the district you are staying. Suppose if you are not getting the opportunity, don't discourage and don't lose the hope. That is my humble request. Like, don't lose the hope. If you are not getting the live to work with the live opportunity, that is not your fault. That's why you take the problem from the real time, like any problem from the real life situation, analyze the problem, draw the requirement specifications, and then work on the project. So this is my request to you. Don't lose the hope if at all you are not getting the opportunity in the live environment. Only limited opportunities are there, wherein which through some channels, through some your brothers, friends, you may be getting, our fathers, you may be getting the opportunities, or else you may be trying your own. If at all you are not getting, don't lose hope. Carry on the project work by taking a real-time example and do the proper analysis and try to give a very good solution to that problem. That itself is a project work. Then our idea is that the student should involve in all the phases of the software development life cycle, starting from the first requirement specifications or the definition of the problem. No student should claim that I had worked only analysis, design and the coding, and I haven't done the security mechanisms part, or else the implementation part, or else the rest of the parts, rest of the phases. No student should not claim like that particular thing. We are expecting, being the evaluators, we are expecting the student should involve and try to get exposure in all the phases of the software development life cycle. If at all you are not getting some sort of, you are not involving in some sort of phases, means you are at the loser end. And there is one more constraint which we may look into the slide. Preferably, not more than one student is permitted to work on a project. However, in a case where project is comprehensive enough, which requires one human year or more than one human year for completion of the project, at most 2 students may work on the same project. But prior approval in this regard must be obtained from the MCA project coordinator, SOCIS headquarters. So why we are saying this particular thing is, we had faced the problems with the earlier batch students. Like if 2 students or a batch of students are involving in the same project, the brilliant student or the student who is having skills, capabilities, abilities, he is completely doing the project, and the other participants are just like viewing or else just watching the abilities of the other students. Or else in some instances where in which the students are claiming that I am involved in system analysis and design only. The second student has carried out the project by doing the coding implementation, testing, etc., etc. So this is not that idea. Each student has to involve in all the phases of the software development life cycle. So for that particular reason, we are preferring that each student has to take one topic and has to complete that particular topic as the project work. However, if the student is getting a very good opportunity to work on the live environment, 2 students are getting the opportunities. Even then also, joint efforts we are not encouraging. We are not encouraging the joint efforts. Like, there may be some parts wherein which the overlappings may be happening, like the database part, the backend part, or else some sort of user interfaces also. But this should not be the case wherein which whatever the modules that they are undertaking, the 2 students are undertaking are the one and the same. That should not be the case. So for that also, if at all 2 students wants to work on the same project, they should take prior approval from the MCA project coordinator, sources IGNOU, Medangadi, New Delhi. After taking the approval, or else after taking the recommendation from the MCA project coordinator for the joint project, then only you have to submit the approval or else the project proposal at the regional center level. So for the joint efforts, at most only 2 students are allowed. So you have to plan in such a way that each student has to take certain modules in that project, whatever he or she mentioning. They have to distribute the work. Only 2 students are allowed, so 2 students should distribute a work in such a way that each student get a chance of to show the abilities of 6 man-months efforts. So only some parts may be overlapping, not the all parts. And whenever you are sending for the recommendations for the MCA project coordinator for the joint project, you should send 2 separate synopses containing the details of your modules only. So identical synopsis we are not at all entertaining. Even though the project title is same, you are working on this different modules, only some parts of the things are overlapping. That's why you have to send 2 synopses which are not identical for the recommendation. And you have to include the second person name also. Like, one paper should be pasted on the synopsis which will be telling the MCA project coordinator that 2 students are doing, these are the enrollment numbers, and then first student is involved in these modules and second student is involved with these modules. Then you have to send the project proposal first of all to the MCA project coordinator wherever the joint project is proposed, and then later on we will be sending it back to you and you have to submit the proposal at your regional center level for approval. So it is a kind of 2-step process for the joint projects. That's why we never, we are not totally preferring such kind of projects. We want to make the student to do individually one project by each student. Completely identical project synopsis and or project reports are not allowed. Some students keep the project titles different, but submits the content similar to that of the others, which will be treated as unfair means and will be referred to Examination Discipline Committee of Indira Gandhi National Open University. What the students does is, one student will select some title, Institution Management System, and then the other student, just in order to divert the mind of the project evaluator, he will take the title as some e-office or something like that, and then he will submit the project proposal as the same. So if at all that particular cases are being noticed by the project evaluator or the regional director, he will recommend those cases to the unfair means as unfair means, and he will forward those particular synopses to the Examination Discipline Committee of the Indira Gandhi National Open University, wherein which necessary action will be taken on that particular unfair means. So don't try to involve and make the project by yourself, and it should be genuine. So whenever I am telling you this particular thing, you are also furnishing the certificate of originality at the time of project report documentation, wherein which it will clearly mention that the work carried out by the student is a genuine work and is not submitted to any institution, any university for the fulfillment of any degree. So this is a certificate of originality that you are giving it to the university. So that much genuine the project should be. And then don't try to select the topics of general, too generic in nature. Why I am saying you is, there are several projects like hospital management system, banking system, institute management system, courier management system. These particular projects are altogether available in the market, wherein which the student is trying to get those project reports submitted in the university, which you should not do. Work by yourself. Try to gain the knowledge from it. Don't take second way. Why I am saying you is, this is MCA program. This is not a bachelor's degree program or other degrees programs like the programs which pertains only the clerical details. You are going to work in some environment wherein which you have to work independently, or else you have to coordinate a team. And you should possess certain skills also. That's why we suggest you, we advise you from our previous experiences that you should work genuinely. Don't try to mimic the projects that are already available in the market. So try to take a very genuine project and work and produce a very good efficient solution, software solution for that particular problem. And then with this I complete the project proposal related issues. Let us switch on to project report details. In the project report details, after getting the project proposal approval, you will be carrying out the project report, and whenever while carrying out the project report, for each and every phase, you will be recording the details. That particular details is nothing but the documentation of the project. Suppose if you are doing the analysis phase, means you will be documenting something like the total total content that will be covering the analysis phase. And whenever you are switching on to the design phase, the next stage, you will be documenting the total design phase details. And whenever you are proceeding on to the coding phase, you will be totally documenting the coding details. Likewise, for each and every phase, you will be documenting the details, and it will be produced as a kind of project report documentation. For the project report documentation also, in the project guidelines, I had given you certain things to be noted down, like how the record should be, and what is the paper size, what should be the font size, what should be the gap between the lines. These are the general things that I had pointed out. And other than these general things, what are the other documents, what are the other papers that you have to submit along with the project report? First thing is original copy of the approved proforma and the project proposal. Original copy of the approved proforma and the project proposal is nothing but whatever the approval that you get from the written back from the regional director after the evaluation, that you have to place it in the project report, and then you have to keep the biodata of the guide once again, and then there is a format given in your guidelines about the certificate of originality, which should be signed by the guide as well as by the student, wherein which both of them are claiming that the guide is certifying that the student has undergone a genuine project. And then the project documentation about all the phases, and then a CD consisting of the executable files and the complete coding of the project proposal. The project work should be attached at the last page of the project report. So these are the necessary things that you have to take care whenever you are submitting the project report in the binded form. So whenever you are talking about the project documentation, which will be about the phases that are involved, the thing is project report documentation. In the project report documentation, you have to give the details about all the phases of the project. And then the project documentation details should not be too generic in nature. Why I am saying you not too generic in nature? This is just to stress or just to reiterate that whatever those are there in the reference books. Suppose if you take the case of systems analysis and design, or introduction to systems analysis and design, or else software engineering textbooks, standard books, like Pressman textbook or something like that. Don't just lift the paragraphs from there and put it in your project documentation. These are not our basic requirements. Project report documentation should contain the details, whatever that you had done in your project, specific to your project. Suppose if you are carrying out the project analysis by taking the fact finding only, by putting the questionnaires. You put the questionnaire format that you had designed in the project report document and as a part of your analysis document or as fact finding document. That is our basic expectation. Don't place the generic items that are already available in the textbooks or in your course material. Appropriate project report documentation should be done like how you have done, how you have proceeded, the analysis phase, the design phase, coding phase, and what are the test cases that are generated in respect to your or with respect to your, with specific to your project only. To be more specific, whatever the theory in respect of the topics that you are giving in your project documentation should not be the repetition of the reference books or the textbooks. The project report documentation should be in respect of your project only. In the earlier cases, when we are taking the web voice of the students and going through the project reports submitted by them, what we had noticed is that whenever the student is taking the project, suppose if a student is explaining me about the test cases, like the test strategies or the testing techniques that the students has adapted for their project, what they are doing is they are just listing the things like unit testing, integration testing, stress testing, or else acceptance testing, user testing, these kinds of things that the student is mentioning, and again as to that particular testing techniques or the testing strategies, they are just placing the paragraphs or the definitions. So those are not the things that you have to place. You have to place the test case design. Suppose if you are doing the black box testing or white box testing or else some sort of your interface testing, please prepare the case design basing upon the criteria that you are testing. Please prepare the test case design, place the test case design as the part of the documentation, so that the evaluator will be coming to know that this is the test case design, and with respect to this test case design, the student encountered this error and the student tried to rectify the error by rewriting the code or by doing the necessary modifications in the coding. So this is our understanding that the student has understood the topic of testing. So that's why we propose or we advise the student only keep the documentation with respect to the project. So the details regarding the project reports are already been given in the project guidelines, like roughly I'll go through. The project documentation should include the table of contents, index with page numbering, introduction and the objectives, the system analysis phase under which these particular all the criteria should be covered. That too the documentation should be with respect to the project. The system design, which will be covering all the details with respect to their projects. Then the coding details with rigorous comments on the inside the coding, error handling, parameters calling, then validation checks that are kept, and then testing techniques or testing strategies adapted for the project. And then coming to the system security measures, you have to tell about all the security implementations, all the security things that you had taken care for your project. Then you have to keep the cost estimation of the project. Don't blindly calculate the cost estimation of the project. There are procedures taught in your software engineering. Follow the principles of cost estimation of the projects by looking into your software engineering books. Don't blindly say that this cost is this much, software cost is rupees so and so, hardware cost is rupees so and so, work is so, man months is so and so, so per person this much. Don't calculate blindly. Follow certain procedures. Whether you are taking some web engineering projects, try to calculate by using certain formulae that are given in software engineering, like the or else the COCOMO model, functional point model. There are several techniques that are taught to you in your software engineering or else in your reference books. Try to adopt some models and make the cost estimation in a professional way. This will give you the exposure that how to estimate the project. Suppose if you are trying to be an entrepreneur and if you want to try to establish your own software engineering firm, software industry, then there are chances wherein which before the submission of the proposal itself or else while submitting the project proposal, there will be a need of even saying the cost estimation of the projects. So that's why this particular thing will give you the ability to estimate the cost using the formulas that are there, that are taught to you in the software engineering. Then you have to place all kinds of reports that are generated along with the sample layouts, then per chart, Gantt chart, like the project scheduling charts that you have to produce, and then future scope and further enhancement that you have to obviously give, then bibliography, appendices, and then glossary, and then other than these, you have to always place the CD also. CD is not the documentation part, but the CD consists of the part which covers the coding and the executable files. Why I am saying you the executable files? Because you have to show the demo whenever you are coming for the Viva Voice also. So we have in the study centers we have the things wherein which you have to show the, while attending the Viva Voice, the evaluator may ask you, or compulsory maybe, there may be a compulsion wherein which he will request you to show the demo also. So in that case, you should be in a position to show the demo. That's why we are recommending you to place the executable files, the backend, the database, and then the coding also in the CD and submit along with the project report in the last page by placing some envelope. Then some points to remember while doing the project report documentation. Throughout the project report, try to keep the same title. We are noticing whenever we are evaluating the project reports that the first page may be containing one title, the approval part may be containing the other title. The meaning may be the similar, but the title, the placing of the words in the title should be the same, identically the same as that of the approved pro forma. So throughout the project report, try to put the title, not try to, it is a compulsory, you have to put the title throughout the thing same. Signature of the project guide, the student signature should match everywhere, wherever they are doing the signatures. Only one copy of the original project report should be submitted to the regional director, concerned regional center, and the copy of the same should be retained by the student. Whenever he comes for the Viva Voice, he or she should carry the project report, the second copy, along with him or her, whenever he or she is appearing for the Viva Voice. And also you make the CDs also too, so that you will submit the original to the university and you will be bringing the CD, second CD, whenever you are coming for the Viva Voice. Then comes the Viva Voice. How the Viva Voice takes place? The Viva Voice will be taking place normally in the regional centers only, not anywhere else. So you have to come to the regional center after the intimation by the regional director. You should come on specific date, specific time. You have to attend for the Viva Voice along with your project report and the CD. And then the intimation card, I-card, those are compulsory. And along with that, you may be asked the questions related to the project. You may be asked the questions related to the subjects, basic subjects or the fundamental subjects lying behind the project report. Like suppose if you are working on some RDBMS, the Viva Voice obviously will be around the RDBMS area, as well as covering the topics along with your, with respect to your project also. Also, you may be told to write some portions of the code, or else you may be told to explain the coding, try to explain the logic of the code. So these are the things generally which I should not mention, like these are the things normally asked by the project report evaluator. While appearing for the Viva Voice along with the project report, the student should carry the identical copy of the CD, the project report, the I-card, the intimation slip, everything. So these are the things, those will be coming under the project report Viva. So apart from this, if you have any queries, you please mail me on mca.igno.ac.in. So with this particular orientation towards the general information of the MCSP 060 project, the general information, the matters related to the project proposal submissions, the matters related to the project report submissions, the matters related to the Viva Voice, I hope that you had understood the procedure. I hope that you had understood the total mechanism, the total steps involved in the project work of the MCA, and you will be doing the project in a very professional manner and submitting the project report in time to attain the degree in a minimum time from the Indira Gandhi National Open University. With this hope and the best regards, best wishes to you, I conclude the session. If there are any queries, please mail me on mca@igno.ac.in. Thank you for participation, and thank you for the persons who are attending the orientation program at all the regional centers, study centers, PSCs, etc. Thank you very much.